Almost forgot to unmute myself. Hi, everybody. I'm here. I'm going to be looking today at our mayoral candidates. This is exciting, and by exciting I mean it's politics. It's probably not going to be that terribly dramatically exciting, but we'll see what we can do. Hopefully, it'll work out and be awesome, and we'll all learn a whole bunch. Let's see. Do I have everything I need? Now we can begin. So, as the title of the video indicates, I am a progressive. That means that I'm not terribly interested in some of the less progressive candidates. There are certain things that will make me immediately stop paying attention. That's probably unfortunate, but I am what I am. What can I say? There are certain phrases like in a quick 10-second look over beforehand, I noticed one person use the word cultural Marxist or something along those lines. And I was like, I don't need to go into details with you. But other than that, I'm going to try and give, for the most part, a fair shake. Unless I specifically know that the person isn't someone I could support, then we'll go with it. Part of the issue I have is I don't know who to vote for. In the last few elections, I have voted for Nenshi, not because I necessarily agree with him on much, but I think that he's done a fairly good job as the city administrator. So he's not running, therefore I need to come up with a good alternative. So let's do that, shall we? All right, and so I'm still here in the bottom corner, as you can see. Okay, so this is I'm at the Sprawls webpage. I actually don't know much about them. I understand they're sort of a picking up where Fast Forward left off, but they have a Meet the Calgarians running for mayor and council section, so we'll do that. I'm not going to read the preamble. It's basically if they're missing anyone, contact them, all that kind of stuff. So our first choice here, again, I'm only looking at the mayor. Our first choice is Bradfield. And it's the blurb says, Calgary businessman and self-proclaimed serial entrepreneur, Bradfield supports the construction of both the Green Line and the new event center, as well as cutting taxes and services, including the police budget. Field says council should simply impose lower speed limits in Calgary rather than putting it to a plebiscite. So just on those talking points alone, I'm not opposed. Serial entrepreneur, we all have jobs. I trust that this is a great person who's all kinds of clever and good at out of the box thinking. That's sort of what serial entrepreneur says to me. The Green Line, for those that are watching that may not be aware of it, the Green Line is actually a transit hub, which we have been wanting to get done. It is over budget, and the conservative line, like always, with anything, I don't have this in my ear, I don't need this anymore. With anything that is transit expansion, they naturally think that it's a terrible idea because it will, yada, yada, yada. There's a whole John Oliver about public transportation. You should watch that rather than have me pretend like I'm an expert. But I am supportive of the Green Line because I think that mass transit is a very important thing. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe the idea with the Green Line is to be green. To have a little bit of eco-friendly, which I think is absolutely necessary. This city is an oil and gas town, so it's a kind of a difficult sell sometimes. But we need to move away from burning dinosaurs. The new event center, honestly, I could give no cares about the new event center. I recognize that both McMahon Stadium and the Saddle Dome are in need of some serious work. I also I'm not a sports ball guy, so and the shows that I go to they're not big enough to play the Saddle Dome or McMahon Stadium, so it's really kind of a non-thing for me, but that doesn't mean that other people aren't totally invested and interested, and so I'm neither here nor there on the subject. Just quickly going to jump here so I can see if things are going on? All right, cool. So let's take a look at Bradfield's website so we get a little bit more, because a blurb is probably not enough to go off of. And brad-field.ca/home. It's loading. It's loading. Do we have a bad link? Let me just Google Bradfield, Calgary. Yeah, site can't be reached. So that might be a bad link in their thing. There's a votebradfield.ca, which might be the thing. So this is Brad. Hi, Brad. Time to do things differently. Let's just click on issues. So, finance, economy, and taxes. A better way to budget. Isn't a zero-sum game. Cutting services or raising taxes don't have to be the only two choices. We must first decide, hang on, didn't it say cutting services here? Cutting taxes and services. Okay. We must first decide how much Calgarians can afford to invest in our city and then which services need them the most. Often we'll find it isn't the councillor's pet projects that Calgarians value most. Totally agree. That doesn't really say much, though. Value for money. Most Calgarians, including me, can name a long list of examples where the city does not spend efficiently. Sometimes in the name of saving, we spend $1,000 to save $100, or council predicts a 5% spending increase and then limits to 3% and claims we've saved money. Someone needs to explain to me why we need a 7-year plan, our pilot project about how to collect garbage, or why we should be conducting a citywide survey on traffic patterns when we're in a pandemic lockdown and not supposed to leave our homes. That kind of doesn't sit right with me, honestly. The talk of waste and of all that is very conservative vibey. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not a fan of waste, but it kind of has that old timey vibe of like, yeah, we're gonna get rid of the fat cats in the city hall, and I'm not so sold on that. Economic recovery, easier said, harder to do. We must first support the local businesses that survived the pandemic. This means predictable, reasonable taxes and smart business policies like accessible parking for customers. That's a funny one because we've actually lost businesses over the city's hunger for parking dollars. Speaking specifically of Mikey's on 12th. No, Mikey's Juke Joint, sorry. It means attracting tax-paying tenants to the empty downtown buildings where they're, whether they be business, educational, incubators, and research, or even residential. That's I don't know that that's breaking any ground here. We're in a bad spot. We've got a huge amount of empty office tower space, and that will rot from the inside if we don't do something about it. But we do need new businesses, especially in new industries. High potential industries in Calgary include distribution and logistics. That's basically his way of saying we want to be an Amazon hub, which we have an Amazon thing somewhere, I think, but I don't like Amazon, so I don't pay attention because Amazon's the devil. Food and agriculture, high tech, recreation and tourism, arts, culture, and film production. I would love it if I believed any of these statements. A lot of the time I get the vibe like this is, you remember back in high school or junior high when, someone was running for school, grade 9 rep, and they're like, I'm going to make sure that every pop machine has Coke and Pepsi and, all that kind of crap. And you're like, are you really? Because I feel like you're probably not going to actually have any impact on the business runnings of the school. In this case, like, we need to engage with new industries, logistics, food and agriculture, high tech, recreation and tourism and arts, culture, film production. I don't know that that's saying anything, and it's certainly not giving an idea of what we need to do. Small and medium businesses are not only the engine of the economy, they're also usually the fastest movers. We need the conditions in which those businesses will choose to open their doors in Calgary with confidence in a stable future. Color me paranoid, but again, the Alberta advantage sort of vibe comes across here. I may be reading this wrong. It's entirely possible. Must have the environment in which job creating industries can thrive. Okay. What does that mean? Doesn't mean throwing money at them, but does mean featuring and enhancing our many assets, including an educated workforce, a livable city with culture and recreation, and economic policies that are stable and based on common sense. Yeah, that feels like someone who would describe themselves as being socially responsible but fiscally conservative, and I'm leery. Calgarians don't want a free ride, but they do want good services at a reasonable cost for their investment. We can't keep looking at the cities and citizens and businesses of Calgary to pick up the tax tab for poor operations. I'm not big on that either. There's a lot of people that talk about waste at City Hall. And granted, I guarantee you there will be waste and there will be ways to save money, but you kind of can't be like spend $1,000 to save 100 and then go, oh yeah, we're gonna save money by laying people off, which it doesn't exactly say, but if I have to lay people off in my business to pay my taxes, taxation's not the solution. You can't tax a business that's closed its doors, and we can't keep asking households to cut their spending in other areas just to pay more of the tax and fee collector. Made more to the tax and fee collector. Well, taxes are how we generate revenue in the city. I kind of don't know what he's suggesting here because my understanding of the world is that we're not going to sell this city to these new investors unless we have low tax rate, low, especially property tax and the overall provincial taxes, things like that. Lowering our property taxes just means less money in the coffers. So it's interesting because he made comment about, I guess it was in that blurb. And again, I'm taking the blurb as writ, that including the police budget, cutting taxes and services. I don't know that there's a lot of services that I really see an opportunity to cut, but again, I'm not in that position. I want Calgary to be recognized as a world-class city that tourists want to visit. Okay, got nothing against that. Look, there's a funny-shaped bus with an accordion part. Green Line's been approved after extensive study and debate, so it's time to get on with it. I agree. Keep very close eye on the price tag and any unanticipated cost overruns and be prepared to make adjustments that are shown to be necessary as we move forward, but let's not fall into paralysis by analysis. As a business analyst, this here is one of my least favorite sayings ever. I'm not saying that this applies, that analysis or over-analysis is a good thing, but we put the time in to figure out what we were doing and to make sure that we were on the same pages as the citizens. So I don't know that that's a good thing. World-class cities have easy and inexpensive links between their airports and their downtowns. Calgary doesn't. I'd kind of argue that. I think the train, well, I guess the train doesn't go right to the airport, but I mean, okay. I guess if the Green Line, I don't know what the map of the Green Line is supposed to be, but I guess, presumably from the airport to downtown. I don't know that. So this statement, this discourages tourists who are destined to the Rockies from spending a day or two exploring Calgary, staying in a hotel, eating meals, buying souvenirs, and visiting our attractions. I don't think I've ever heard a tourist say, I wanted to see the city, but instead, because they didn't have a quick bus route, screw that town. I don't buy that. Greening the city, examining the business case for bold steps towards a greener city. Those options include creating better infrastructure for electric vehicles, looking at the city's fleet to ensure that we're getting green value wherever possible, and considering alternative energy sources to ensure the city's many facilities have the right energy mix. This, to me, is not a statement. It's basically saying I'm not opposed to the idea of more green energy, but it doesn't strike me as a stance on anything. City of opportunity. Most Calgarians, I'm appalled that there are citizens without a roof over their head. I believe in housing first, a principle that asserts that if you can first help a person find a stable and safe place to live, other issues can be addressed more readily, whether there's a need for jobs and living skills, for addiction and mental health treatment, blah, 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 blah. So home's good. Statistics show that we will spend less money responding to emergencies when people live in a home than we will spend by building those homes. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Spend less money responding to emergencies when people live in a home than when we spend by building those homes. I genuinely don't understand what we're talking about there. Unless, or maybe I'm missing because I skipped over mental health treatment or treatment of physical challenges or illnesses. Okay, so if we're talking about people who are, for example, physically challenged or ill, that's fine. Okay, I can get that. Also be quite passionate, believe quite passionately in a city which everyone has the opportunity to be the best and pursue their dreams. Racism exists and it must be rooted out because it's not only soul destroying, but it holds people back from their potential. It is simply wrong. Couldn't agree more. That is also true for people who face discrimination for any other reason. Discrimination is morally wrong and it prevents people from contributing fully to the city that we all love. Note the lack of talking about what that means. Again, I want to give people credit where credit's due, but I don't know these candidates and I don't know, that whole thing about discrimination is morally wrong. Where is that line and how does it stop? And who do we think it applies to? That sounds like a dumb statement, but it really isn't because, frankly, discrimination happens all the time. My buddy Kelvin in the chat just said Bradfield equals no. I kind of am picking that up, honestly. In fact, I don't know that I want to go too much further down. What I'm seeing here is someone who I think is best described as socially progressive, fiscally responsible, and therefore I'm less trusting. And I found a lot of things in that blurb that I just didn't feel very comfortable with. So I'm gonna say Bradfield's not my guy. Sorry, Brad. It's nothing personal. Now I'm gonna totally ruin Teddy's name. Jabana Theodore Teddy Ogbonna, a Nigerian immigrant, founder of Youth for Transparency International, an organization aimed to get young people civically engaged. LinkedIn page identifies him as a former board member of the Calgary McCall UCP Constituency Association. That's not what I like. On Facebook, he accused the Calgary Police Service of adopting, this is the one I saw, I just was scrolling and I didn't really see who it was, of adopting a Marxist worldview after Chief Mark Neufeld acknowledged systemic racism. So when you recognize that there's systemic racism, you are a Marxist. I'm not even going to click on that link because fuck off Teddy. Exactly, yeah. Bright sparkling undergarments puts it correctly. Fuck off Teddy. I'm going to make the chat visible. I still haven't figured out the whole hassle with... you know what? Maybe if I move it. Because it's... I'll put it up at the top. There we go. Now if I fade over there. Yeah, I still have that thing where I don't know how to do what I'm doing well enough to make the chat have names associated with it, but I have it on my phone right here. So yay. Yeah, fuck off, Teddy. That's just annoying. Marxist worldview. Emil Gabriel. Gabriel, who previously ran for mayor in 2017, says he's running against the career politicians. Red flag. At City Hall. The reason that I'm not even going to... I just want to say, the reason that's a red flag is the same thing I mentioned earlier. It's that hearkening back to the old-timey where you'd hire a little person and you'd have a broom so that you could sweep up the corruption, and you'd be like, oh yeah, old Joe, he's gonna sweep up those buffoons at Silly Hall, Rick Bell. So that right there is an immediate red flag. He says his first act as mayor would be to establish a 2-term limit on the office. Well, that's interesting. I don't know that I agree with that. I'm not necessarily directly opposed to the idea of term limits, but we don't have, at least to my knowledge, we don't have. Wrong one. Sorry, children. I don't think we have a long history of the office of mayor being like 47 years and counting kind of thing. Ralph Klein was mayor for a long time. I think Al Dewar was mayor for a long time, but they were mayors because they were continuously elected. In Canadian federal politics, we don't have term limits, so I don't know why we would suddenly be looking at the mayor as, two-term limit, unless there's some data that I could see about corruption. Let's continue on. Gabriel's website is still under construction. His Facebook page lists him as a civil engineer with a PhD in management. Wow, that's a lot of education. However, he isn't registered with APEGA, the province's official engineering professional body. If you're calling yourself an engineer, you kind of have to be on APEGA's list. Otherwise, you're lying and potentially guilty of fraud. So I'm glad his website is still under construction because I'm not clicking on it. Let's see. I got sent the link to his LinkedIn. Do we want to go to his LinkedIn? What do you think? A Snivel engineer with a PhD in management. Emil is a management consultant. Pass. Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm not a fan of any of this. Like every sentence I had to pause and be like, here's why I think this is the wrong person. So we're just gonna skip Emil. James DeSautels, I'm probably saying that exactly like every Albertan ever, is a Calgary musician who received his master's degree of music from the University of Arizona. He wants to partner with the federal government to build a vaccine manufacturing facility in Calgary, abolish the mayoral title of your worship, and generally enhance the tone of debate at City Hall. Well, nothing there makes me scared. We just have a Facebook page. I'm going to see if he's got a website. James DeSaut. Oh, right there. And we have LinkedIn, we have Twitter, calgarymusicians.org, Instagram, the article that I'm on. I don't think we're seeing a website here. So let's take a look. We'll do like go to the about page and stuff. Does James look familiar to me? No. Although, nice. That sounds good. Nice is nice. Why is my chat window suddenly open? Yay! That was my my younger daughter. Let's see the about page. No information. Work and education. Life events maybe. Not seeing. Maybe I have to look at his posts. I would think that if I was having a mayoral candidate page, I would have an about section. It's time to be more creative with city-owned labor or land and other assets. There are many things we can do to ensure economic health in Calgary by expanding our. James has poise, according to Bright Sparkling Undergarments, who is clearly lives in a whole nother province, but probably has a much closer view of the race than I do, which is sort of telling about who I am. He's got a LinkedIn as well. Maybe I'll check the LinkedIn because we're not doing much of nothing here. Just gonna go back to the Google results because LinkedIn was the top one. Let's see. What do you got for me, LinkedIn? Probably, look, 43 notifications. I don't spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. All right, so highlights. Hey, we know Z. Hello, my name is James. I'm running for Mayor of Canada, Calgary, Mayor of Canada. On October 18th, 2021, I was born and raised in Calgary. It's been my good fortune to be a lifelong professional musician and arts entertainment entrepreneur. Organizing and public service has never been a part of my, or have been a part of my career from the very beginning. Left Calgary at age 21 to continue my career in the States. It was a pleasure to live in the U.S. for 20 years. I was lucky to tour the world a number of times as a professional musician. Right on. Now, those that are watching may be going, but how does that teach you how to be the mayor? It probably doesn't, but that doesn't mean that someone has to fit certain qualifications to be mayor, right? It's never about that. Detail recent activity. Here, I'll click that link. Check his activity and posts. Let's see. So yeah, this is the one I was reading. By expanding our economy to include arts, manufacturing, food, and farmer production. I like the farmer production thing. We used to do, we used to have in Canada pharmaceutical labs, and then we thought it'd be good to close them because pandemics. So that's dumb. Higher minimum wage and social economic inclusion with services, opportunities, and resources. We can create a vibrant, healthy, and thriving city. I may be wrong. I don't think the minimum wage is in any way the purview of the city. I think that's a provincial decision. I'm just going to quickly Google that just so I know, because I'm curious. Minimum wage, Alberta, who sets? We'll see. How the law applies. Employment Standards Code empowers the lieutenant governor and council to make regulations respecting. Yeah, so minimum wage comes, as I thought, from the provincial level, which for those millions of viewers who are watching from the U.S. would be like saying the state level. That doesn't necessarily, he's not saying I will increase our minimum wage. He's talking about the purpose or the things we need to do in our economy. So I'm not opposed to that. It's time to look at resources and assets in a new and inclusive way, then change the way we do things. Calgary has assets that need to be utilized in new ways. Time to expand our approach to the economic, cultural, educational, and social constructs of Calgary. That doesn't say anything. There was a Calgary-wide vote on whether or not to host the Olympics again. There was no Calgary-wide vote on whether or not to construct a new arena. Why? I'm gonna guess because the choice to host the Olympics is both very expensive and very tumultuous, I guess, in the eyes of the people. Whereas a new arena is kind of a necessity at this point. A couple things to think about. Could the Saddle Dome be used to house homeless people when it's not being used for hockey? The school I attended until age 11, St. Gerard, is closing. Could we put a city pool there? Our community center, a youth center. A place to grow food outside or indoors. A place for manufacturing, production, a music school, music venue if it becomes any of these, or any other community-driven reality. It could possibly impact tens of thousands of Calgarians, visitors, and tourists. So I'm already of the opinion that James probably is a creative thinker, and I'm not sold at all because I don't see a lot of meat here, and I see a lot of what if kind of statements, but nothing is making my skin crawl. He's not using cultural Marxist or anything like that. So James does not get the passing grade, but he's certainly not horrible. And sometimes these things do come down to the lesser of two evils, as we know. All right, Jeremy Farkas, the rookie councillor from Ward 11, who was elected on a campaign of low taxes and fiscal restraint, declared his candidacy in September 2020. Prior to serving on council, Farkas was a senior fellow at the Canada Strong and Free Network, the conservative think tank formerly known as the Manning Centre. I like how they say think tank, but really what they mean is Center for Propaganda. And he is the executive assistant for the Israel Studies program at the University of Calgary. Just as an aside, isn't it interesting how Israel Studies is totally valid, but gender studies or indigenous studies or, these are all stupid arts degrees that can't possibly net you any real benefit. But boy, oh boy, Israel Studies program, that's important. James has a vision. Can he execute? Farkas can fuck off. Fuck Farkas. Fucking fuck. You know, bright shiny undergarments. I'm with you on that one, actually. I am familiar with Jeremy Farkas. He is a very right-leaning. I'm not sure how far right. I mean, just looking at his picture, he's a Mormon, clearly. Together we will unleash Calgary's potential. Support our stampede. Sign. What is the support our stampede? This might actually interest me even more than his standpoint. The show must go on. I, proud Calgarian and or supporter of the mighty Calgary Stampede and exhibition. I like how we included or. I am either a proud Canadian and or supporter of. This is the. I understand. This is the words that I'm supposed to care about I'm the proud supporter and or proud Calgarian. Hereby pledge my support for a modified version of the annual greatest outdoor show on earth to be held in 2021. I entrust event organizers and partners to work together and follow Alberta Health Pro. Okay, no, I don't. Like, what? Who in the green fuck would actually think that event organizers and partners would follow Alberta Health protocols? I'm not talking about the event organizers even. Drunk people. The Calgary Stampede is a drunk people fashion show. It's where people go to put on funny clothes, get really drunk, and make an embarrassing affair baby. I'm okay with people making all that stuff. But yeah, Dog Whistle is right. This is the weakest possible. I knew I would like coming to that page. I'm not against the greatest outdoor show on earth, but I'm against it for 2021. We're in the middle of some serious shit right now. Think about what Calgary could be if we had new leadership, new ideas, and new opportunity. Think about how much more we could achieve if we leave behind the old ways of doing things. Yes, that Nenshi, what a dinosaur. Dinosaur. And think about what is possible if only we had a council that would say yes. Yes to responsible spending. Yes to transparency. And yes to opportunity. Which is interesting because our current council says, no, we want irresponsible spending. No, we want opacity. And no opportunities for you, measly Calgary. Okay, I probably can't continue with Mr. Farkas here because it's nothing but right wing, not even saying anything. Just like, wouldn't it be swell if the Nazis had won? Jyoti Gondek. I'm probably saying her name wrong. I think it's actually Jody, but I'm an idiot. The Ward 3 councillor was first elected to City Hall in 2017. Prior to her political career, Gondek was director for the Westman Centre for Real Estate Studies at the University of Calgary and sat on various community boards. She says Calgarians should be seen as investors in the city and has described herself politically as a completely a centrist. So I'm gonna put myself in an awkward light here. I'm not an investor in the city. I'm a citizen of the city. I get the thing that she's going for, but we have this really unfortunate habit of making everything about economics, and that is a real concern in my world. Now, this may be talking to sort of the general public, as opposed to what Jody. I'm going to call her Jody in case I'm getting that right. What her personal beliefs are. But when I also see completely a centrist, that makes the old blood trickle with the cold. So let's see. Great website, I think. Calgary's ready to move forward. Okay, this is all. Let's go to priorities because that's all going to be. Is this going to take me lower in the page? Key issues. Yeah, I'm betting it is. Every citizen of Calgary is an investor. We all choose to live here. That's our Yeah, she's a flake. I'm kind of with you on that. Oh, you've got a LinkedIn link. Let's bring up the LinkedIn real quick so that we can see. And I'm sure once again I'll have to shrink my messaging thing. No, it stayed shrunk. Way to go. Um, Haskane School of Business. I think that's a right wingy thingy, but I'm not 100% sure. Um, Instructor, urbanization, context, and context of cities and urban sociology. That's a good thing to have in someone who's running a city. She's got a doctorate of philosophy, PhD urban sociology, MA in organizational sociology, BA in criminology sociology. Oh, from University of Manitoba. We can cancel her right now. No, just kidding. My father went to University of Manitoba and University of Winnipeg, and whichever one he went to first, he was 16 years old and then got thrown out for gambling. Let's see. To maintain Calgary's edge, we need to negotiate predictable funding streams for other orders of government that allow Calgary to complete its transit network and offer affordable or housing affordability in a way that cuts the red tape of applying for grants. That speaks to me as a person that definitely I'm worried about all of the grant applications that I have to do for housing affordability. Took 7 years to get the common sense the rest of us are born with. Touche, sir. Demand fairness and respect. Did you know that 40% of your property tax you pay to the city of Calgary are transferred to the province? It's not like we do that because we feel bad for the province. If Calgary retained even a portion of these funds, we could eliminate the bureaucratic waste of spending money to sending money to the province only to later ask for it back through grants. You ultimately stabilizing and lowering your tax bill. Every dollar of tax you pay, of investment you make in this city, deserves to be spent on you and your community. I do not like that concept because, again, I don't think we have an option with the transfer payment to the province. I don't think that's like I'm pretty. Again, I'm no political scientist here in the Albertas, but I'm pretty sure that's just a set rate that all cities have to pay, and not paying that would be illegal. So, like, what the frippity frap? Dedicate a portion of the 40% transfer payment toward offsetting the gap in operating revenues during this period of prolonged depreciating downtown market values. That may not be within our purview. She doesn't know how taxes work. Alberta taxes go to the province, period. Yeah, that's my understanding. Recovery requires a team. I need to ensure that our business and social organizations are strongly connected to local government. Most critical is the building of cross-sector partnerships, supported by a strong team of councillors committed to fairness for all Calgarians, engaging community leaders early and often, ensuring Calgarians' lived experiences shape the City of Calgary's policies and practices. That is fluff. I'm sorry. If that means something, then it doesn't communicate it, because this just sounds like community leaders is a generic and vague thing, like the street church is a community leader. Anti-maskers are community leaders. Are we like this is just vague and generic? Does she propose taking money from the province? Ha, lightweight fluff. No, thank you. Next. Yeah, I'm with you. I was actually, to be entirely upfront, I've gotten a couple of things in the mail from Jody, and I was like, maybe. But yeah, no, I'm not feeling it. Larry Heather, I'm not clicking on Larry. I'm kind of tempted to click on Larry Heather just because, like, the man, billing himself as a fiscal and social conservative, Heather is involved in efforts to issue an injunction against the city's mask bylaw. He ran for mayor in 2017 and notoriously sued to have the election results overturned, relying on an 1877 Supreme Court decision to accuse Mayor Nenshi of exercising undue influence, which was rejected. Here's brass tacks. Larry Heather is a Nazi. I don't know if he's a member of any National Socialist Party. Maybe he's just an ultra conservative who also hates anyone different than white males. But Larry Heather is garbage. I would never vote for him. I have known his name for a long time because of the many things he's done to put his name in the spotlight, and it's always in the very ugliest spotlight. So no, Larry, You will not be getting my. I'm curious. I kind of want to see like if there's like a swastika on this or anything. Oh, the page isn't available. Okay, that might be. I'm just gonna Google Larry Heather Calgary. So you have to be a real hunk of crap to have, or a really amazing person to have a Wikipedia article. In this case, it's hunk of crap. Um, we have a Vice article. Why didn't Calgary elect Larry Heather for mayor? Um, I'll click on that in 1 second. So let's see. Contributor, The Oncoming Storm. Um, Larry Heather was born in Alberta, has been a resident. Oh man, this is like too small to read. Employed as a shipper receiver, board member of the Canadian Badlands Passion Play, where he acts and works in the development of the Interpretive Center. So, just in case anyone's not sure, the Passion Play is the story of the Jesusing. Bachelor of Religious Education, Bachelor of Arts in Religion, and a graduate level diploma of Christian Studies. So, I feel strongly that Larry might be a Christian. President of Christians Concerned for Life. Yes, that's right. He's a strong and prominent supporter of the pro-life movement. Run in elections and blah, blah, blah. Ran for the Christian Heritage Party in Calgary West. The original name for that was going to be the Make Auschwitz Great Again Party, for the record. Currently is a Calgary area representative for the Christian Heritage Party Alberta Provincial Board. Enjoys his ministry as a song and drama leader for the Monterey Evangelical Free Church, and has a solo ministry in special music. A solo ministry in special music. Okay, well, should I open up this Vice article? Let's do it. Let's give Larry his opportunity to shine. Oh, that just opened up the picture on my Discord. 1 sec. Where the link here. Okay. So, Vice article, obviously CIA-sponsored left-wing news. Story is over 5 years old. It's from our last election. Why didn't Calgary elect Larry Heather for mayor? Is this guy just a conservative Christian nutbriar from a town called Vulcan who makes terrible mayoral music videos, or is he part of some advanced art prank using anti-aesthetics to highlight the ontological differences between the modern progressive... ... Saw them re-elect Naheed Nanshi. Plenty of nuanced issues, both big and small. Unfortunately, not nearly enough people were talking about the real issue, the many charms of opponent Larry Heather. To some, he's just a wacky conservative Christian routinely putting his foot in his mouth. And while people might be talking about how easy it is to troll Larry on his Facebook page, no one's discussing his skill as a graphic designer, a social media guru, and a world-class parodist. Okay, I bet that's a funny article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Let's see. Anti-abortion rallying. Throwing ketchup on abortion activist Henry Morgentaler. Hey, me mom and Morgentaler. Woman's womb is the most dangerous place to live in Canada, he once told the Calgary Herald. Yes, Larry Heather will not be receiving my vote. Xiaoli Wang, a geologist by trade, Wang ran as an independent in last year's federal election in the Calgary Rocky Ridge riding. He wants to bring property taxes down to 2015 levels by 2025 and to tie the police budget to the crime rate reversely. I don't know what that would do. So I'm a big believer in the idea of scaling back the investment on police and using that money instead to fund social programming and mental health, both of which have been hacked to death by the Conservatives. Bringing property taxes down to 2015 levels by 2025. I think I'm nervous about anytime people talk about bringing down property taxes, what they're saying is dropping revenue, which means either dropping services or finding another way to get revenue. I don't know. I'm going to click. We're going to see more. There was nothing in here that said National Socialism or anything. Vote Xiaoli Wang for mayor, October 18th, 2021. Let's see. About, contact, lawn signs, volunteer, media, donate, print signs, events. Okay, I think this was a Why I Run. I don't feel my experience of entrepreneurship back in my hometown very much related, and my background of geoscientist may not sound attractive either. So I think he's sort of tongue in cheek saying, haha, I'm boring. And I was, like every one of us, complaining about ever rising property tax year after year, never ever dare to think if this qualification gap be traversable. While things do change at a point, the City Hall's jaw-dropping chase of the 2026 Winter Olympics made me feel betrayed, and its adamant commitment to the green line in the conjunction of an economic downturn and a global pandemic lockdown kicked me out of my world. Clearly, Shaoli would be a vote for hyperbole. I'm okay with hyperbole. Not okay with the complaint. I was not for us chasing the 2026 Winter Olympics. Frankly, I don't like sports ball. And Calgary had the last profitable Winter Olympics in 1988, which was awesome. And what happened after 1988? What was in between 88 and 92? What was that thing? Oh, right, terrorism. 9/11. So, no, that's not right. Am I wrong? Why is my brain suddenly failing on when 9/11 was? Fuck. It was after. You know what? It was way after. I'm so stooged. 88, I was 13 years old. And 9/11 happened when I was working in college. So I'm probably like a decade off. It's okay. It's okay. That's why I'm not running. Because I don't remember when things happen. But yeah, the cost of security now makes any of these events totally prohibitive. It's just not worth doing. It was a net win for Calgary, from what I understand. We spent a lot of money, but we spent a lot of money on reusable things, on facilities that brought revenue. It was a good thing. No one since has made a dime off of the Olympics, and everyone has failed. So I was not a big fan. 2001, yeah. So yeah, like right after 88. Sorry. This is my first beer of the day. I'm just waking up. Anyway, so but complaining about the green line, once again, the green line is an important investment in our infrastructure that is intended to save money. It will ultimately save us a lot of money by encouraging mass transportation, which is actually good. Let's continue. When one day I cautiously opened the city's foreclosure webpage, naming 2021 property tax sale list, knowing that it takes 3 years before foreclosure will being triggered, 536 homes were found listed there coldly. I'm not sure how warmly they should be listed, but again, hyperbole. Including one of my neighbors, I had knocked on their door right before the pandemic. The inexplicable pain overwhelmed me. The trouble my neighbors facing hurt me. I'm just going to say something right now. If your neighbor foreclosed on their mortgage, it probably wasn't property taxes. I'm going to guess that they couldn't afford their mortgage. Don't get me wrong, like property tax is a bunch, but comparatively, not really. Like it, if you own a home, it's just part of your cost of owning a home. Increases in property taxes. Let's just quickly check. Calgary increases property tax. Let's just see. About 13% in 2020 as commercial tax dropped by 11.9%, according. So this is an example of how we tend to cut the property tax for corporations and raise it for people. That's sort of kind of halfway almost understandable if you don't think about things, because essentially what you're doing is you're saying that we're having trouble attracting business, we're going to drop that, we'll raise it on people, and people will have more money because business will come, which generally doesn't happen. Fraser Institute, why Calgary's property. That's for those that are unfamiliar. Fraser Institute is a right-wing, super neocon, alt-righty almost, group. Frequently asked questions. Let's take a look at what the city of Calgary says about it. This will obviously be biased. Where do my tax dollars go? What is the municipal tax rate? What is the combined? How will this impact? What if I'm having trouble paying my taxes? If you're a residential property owner experiencing financial hardship, there are a number of programs offering assistance. You know what? Screw that. That probably doesn't mean anything. Um, yeah, there's nothing on this page that's gonna. Handful of communities to see Calgary property tax increase. Most Calgary neighborhoods saw a decline. What are we saying here? This is the YY scene, I believe. No, this is Livewire Calgary. Sorry. Typical residential property value declined 2%, the city said. Typical non-residential property dropped in value by 6%. Based on July 2020 market value. I'm not seeing anything that really answers the question that I was wondering. But yeah, let's see. Property taxes are the best value for money in taxes, period. I would agree. I would counter with, and this is not a municipal thing, but I would counter that sales tax is actually the best thing that we could do. I love the idea of scrapping income tax and increasing sales tax because it taxes you for what you spend, and it circulates money for that's being spent. But I'm not an economist. I don't know shit about shit. So, sorry, the hyperbole. Witnessing a neighbor losing their home humiliated me. My lungs stopped breathing. My heart stopped beating. Slowly, my pain turned into anger. The anger overcame my fear. Don't tell me I can't again. I knew I can. I knew the problem for so long. Okay, so I'm going to stop reading Xiaoli Wang's stuff right now. My take on it is that he's a very passionate person, clearly a very right-wing person, not a flashy person, but very, very numbers guy, very, fixed concrete. He's a geologist, not a thing in the world wrong with that. So I do want to see this whole tying the police budget thing because now I'm that got me curious. Let's see. Roll back the mayor's pay by 20% from 2019 level. Halt the green line. Dick. Secure frontline service, freeze hiring, cut pay and expense, shed off overstaffing. I'm assuming we're talking about at City Hall, but I don't know enough about if that's a thing that we would need to worry about. I will say that freezing hiring is a terrible idea when we're having a difficult time economically. The city is, generally speaking, civil service jobs are what support support us through an economic downturn. Restore police pride. Yeah, that's the one problem the cops have. They're just not proud enough. Consumption taxes detract from your consumption, you commie. It's true. I am a commie. Hold up 10% CPS budget and bind it with crime rate reversely. Direct police reports and CPS complaints to the city. Add city as interested party to proceedings involving CPS work with CPS toward community policing. Prioritize Northeast community. This last statement right here sounds to me very much like exactly what I would expect from someone who's more of a numbers guy. This is that thing where we deploy our police based on crime statistics, which has proven to do nothing. It's actually a classic example of systemic racism. It looks and finds nuisance crimes in poor neighborhoods and goes, well, that's where we need to send all of our cops, and then the cops go and there's a larger number of police in the poor community, and they find more crimes because they're there and they're seeing more things. And isn't that just confirmation bias? So I'm not the police thing. Yeah, definitely not throwing a vote his way. Take full liability to fix the Crescent Height lead pipe within a year. I would agree with that. I think any lead pipes are bad for our water supply. Apologize to the Southwest community and ready to engage. Initiate a 12 community-based binding plebiscite for destiny of the 14th Street BRT. I believe that's the, I don't even know, 4th Street BRT. Is that the Green Line? 14th Street? I don't think it is. I think, wow. I clearly don't know what I'm talking about. Leave speed limit to communities and their councils. Really? We're gonna let community associations decide the speed limit? That's pretty bold. And by bold, I mean foolish. Review issues with former Midfield Mobile Home Park residents. I don't know anything about that particular issue. Initiate motion to ease the burden of homeowners who need immediate support. Okay. Again, the city said there was all kinds of great programs in place, but I can't speak to the efficacy or whether the city's just, putting nice flowery language on their website. I'm not going to give them any credit. Halt Calgary Municipal Land Corporation's expanding and renovation projects. I don't know for sure what that means. If Calgary Municipal Land Corporation is the agency that runs the parks and yeah, you know what? I don't know enough about what they would do to comment. Review CTCC, Calgary Telus Convention Center, Attainable Homes, Calgary Corp, Calgary Parking Authority, Calgary Municipal, blah, blah, blah. What is he reviewing them for? Are we pretending that there's a lot of waste? I think the Calgary Parking Authority is a waste, but I don't think, looking to tighten our belts when we've been through like pretty much 2 decades of rolling recession. Fuck your face. Work with provincial government on provincial property tax. I think he's talking about that same thing that was mentioned earlier about that. Like, wouldn't it be great if we just didn't have to pay taxes anymore? Review water and sewer and waste disposal cost. People bitch about this all the time. People always complain about the fact that it costs us money to have water and sewer and waste disposal. Like, their services, we pay for them. They're not even that huge. Lower cities' debt by $200 million annually. These are statements that bother me because is the total debt important? Or is the value, like, we live in a world where money has no value, right? So it's kind of banks will just throw credit at everything because money is valueless and it doesn't matter. So Calgary has a city debt that's presumably a bunch. Paying back debt in the middle of an economic downturn is probably not a really important thing to do. See, and sewage and waste go away. Yeah, we have the cleanest, cheapest water, and sewage and waste go away. Exactly. I'm all for us having good, reliable water. In fact, I would like to expand that to like Indigenous people. Might be fun. Where were we? Lower cities. Okay, lower city expenses by 12%. No, we're not adding new expenses. So our expenses are the fact that we are a growing city. Our expenses are increasing. Absolutely, our expenses increase every year because the city's population is increasing every year. The services we need to provide increase in every year. If you want to lower your expenses, you actually first have to invest in things like turning some of those empty buildings that are downtown into residential space, so that people are able to move, young families. And I'm not talking rich residential space. I'm talking about young family residential space with schools and things like that, because we keep building out, which means we have to run lines, which means we have to, like, suburbs are actually the worst economic feeder of a city's budget. And the more we build them, the more expense we have. So if we want to cut expenses, that's how to do it. Not just some random, like, I don't know, we'll stop having Christmas. Fuck off. What is this fucktard going to cut? Idiot. Next. Yeah, you know what? I don't need to continue. I'm pretty sold that this is not the guy for me. Zane Novak. Awesome name. Former president of the Kirby Center for Seniors and current president of ZKO Oilfield Industries. It's a strange pairing. Novak is calling to upgrade the city to Calgary 2.0. He wants the city to work more closely with developers to create a growth plan and is concerned about the cost of the Green Line's northern portion. Yeah, once again, we're bitching about the Green Line. This statement, I want to see if there's more to it, but we're more closely with developers to create a growth plan. Developers shouldn't be controlling the growth plan for the city. The city should actually be controlling the ways in which the developers are growing. That's like so. I once upon a time I got to hear Dr. Richard Florida talk, and he was talking about in Pittsburgh. I think it was Pittsburgh. It was wherever he's from. They basically drew a line around Pittsburgh at that time, and they said Pittsburgh can't grow bigger than this. If we want to develop, we have to develop up. Because urban sprawl was killing them. Like I was just talking about with the additional communities, mean additional services, mean additional this and additional that, more congestion on highways, people moving further and further out of the downtown core. Their reaction was, you can't build out, you have to build up and make use of the space we're already using. And that is a sensible thing. I don't feel like developers are that's the growth plan we're going to look at. But let's take a look. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Our city, our future, our vision. Share your opinions and thoughts. Tell us what you think. Okay. No, you don't need to know where I am. Although clearly I'm in Calgary, because who the fuck else cares? Let's see. Am I on the right spot? Like, is that the link? Zane Novak? Calgary 2.0. Oh, yeah, this is, oh, so this is about this Calgary 2.0. Okay. Does there, so in these very uncertain times, oh, I've got parking that I have to take care of, which I don't because no one's parking because it's COVID. In these very uncertain times, it may seem like the future is bleak for Calgary and for Alberta. It fucking does. But I don't think you and I, Mr. Zane, agree. I'm assuming Zane is a Mr. I could be wrong about that. That might be my inherent sexism. I don't think we would agree necessarily on these things. Calgarians are builders. We build economies, we build relationships, and we build futures. Our city is a proudly diverse city, attracting talented and hardworking people from around the world. And it is through our diversity that we are adaptable, resilient, and unified. Okay, I like that statement. I do. Diversity gets a lot of shit. And developers doing city planning is like USA Health Insurance companies running health. Yeah, 100%. I does not like. Today, as we face these new obstacles, we also have a great opportunity to add more to our identity while improving on what we're already good at. This is our chance to evolve to the next stage, Calgary 2.0. That reminds me of when they were trying to rename the city to Calgary City. Like, that made a difference to anything. Envisioning our future, tell us your vision. So I don't know what I'm supposed to make of this. There's not actually any information here. Maybe if I click on stories. Does Zane have a story? Not seeing a story. I will note that this is a very ethnically diverse page. Yeah, Zane doesn't have a story. If this is Zane, then, which I'm assuming is the case, Zane looks like a guy I used to work with named Scott. Scott Thistle, actually, for bright, shining underpants. We need density, not sprawl, and developers doing city planning. Yeah, I totally agree. Did I like miss him? Do I know that guy I used to work with? No, he's not that guy. Cause that's good, because that guy was a creep. Yeah, I got nothing here. Like, all well and good to have a link to a page that says we need to do things differently without any actual information. Let's Google. We're Googling. Zane, oh, what was it? Zane. Oh, wait. He's a builder, Jim. See LinkedIn. Okay, we'll just jump over to the LinkedIn's. I'm really lousy at LinkedIn, so I don't really know what I'm looking for because LinkedIn to me is not something I've ever given a red crap about. Construction industry for the past 30 years, product development and managerial roles. On multiple occasions, I've demonstrated an ability to innovate, to form new processes into. Okay, this is more job resume sounding. While I was not born in Calgary, I've called the city home for almost 20 years. It led me to become deeply involved in the community and volunteer over 20,000 hours at local charities. Who counts this shit? Like, I don't know, I'm being pedantic, but I couldn't tell you how many hours and I've probably not volunteered 20,000 hours unless you count, like, my work in the music community, in which case it's probably like 10 times that. Yeah, again, like, get involved in the movement. Get involved in the move. Oh wait, there's a zaneformayor.ca. Let's look there, because that might actually give us. I hope it's not a redirect to. Look at the. He looks happy. They all look happy. She looks a little nervous, but they all look like they're having a good time. They're drinking lattes. It's gonna be okay. Platform. Here we go. Dynamic leadership. Work with business, citizens, newcomers, and stakeholders to meet their needs and find solutions to their problem. This is like HR wrote this. Like when I get crappy job postings, one of the easiest ways for me to know it's a crappy job is it'll be like, the business analyst will be instrumental in engaging with business stakeholders to determine functional and non-functional requirements for exciting projects. Like that. So essentially, dynamic leadership means meeting with people and working to meet their needs. That's weird. We've never tried that before. Build a productive relationship with our city's largest stakeholders, the provincial and federal governments. Splitting hairs, but I feel like the city's largest stakeholders, and I don't mean you and me, I mean just me. Just me. Create an efficient city hall administration that is accountable and transparent with the budget and spending, and that is on par with other municipalities in Alberta. Transparent is such an empty word. It's transparent. You see what I did there? My complaint with it is that's like, people talk about transparency. Transparency financially is, it's a good thing. We want to see how much money is being spent. I believe we do, and I believe there's no obfuscation happening. I mean, there's levels of obfuscation. Obviously, they don't, go to the kind of level that maybe some people would like, but ultimately we know roughly, what our budgets look like. We know our spend as opposed to previous years, that kind of thing. So I don't, transparency just, to me, feels like a conservative dog whistle, but maybe I'm wrong. Develop partnerships with diverse ethnic and minority populations. Weird to say ethnic and minority. No, I guess not, because, sorry, I'm thinking ethnic minority, but obviously there are plenty of people who would be minorities of other types. So that's just me being stupid. 10,000 or 1,000 hours a year, 20 hours a week. This guy puts in for charity. Bullshit. Yeah, I'm with you on that. 20 hours a week. Unless he actively works for a charity, which doesn't really feel like charity work then. It feels like the job that he's doing, but I don't know. And you're sending me a link to... Not one of these assholes has read this. Let's just take a look at that link, because I'm curious. Because I'm with you. I'm actually feeling pretty downtrodden right now as we go through this. So, this is the service plan and budgets. I'm not going to read this because this sounds like a very long podcast and a very dry podcast. And this one's super exciting instead. Multi-year service plan and budgeting approaches. So, like, read our service plans and budgets. How property tax. Like, to me, this feels pretty gosh darn transparent. One Calgary 2019 to 2022 service plans and budgets. Yeah, so like, oh, it's PDF. Oh, that's gonna be annoying, isn't it? Tell us how we're doing. Hey, I can do that. Cool. So I'm not gonna go into like looking at all the bits and pieces, but like, there are graphs, there are charts, there are tables. a lot of this looks very high level, but it's definitely it's put together by a marketing person. But there's a lot of information here. Again, I'm not going to go through. It's what 668 pages, and total person and property crimes in Calgary. They're going the whole gamut. This is, to me, this is a very transparent step. I don't know why people keep talking about transparency. I think it's just to wet their conservative whistles. Every one of the 257 pages, high level, has a budget in detail behind it you can look up or grab. See? Bright sparkling undergarments understands. So, prioritize accessible transportation, nurture stronger relationships between communities and services assigned to protect us. This is about cops. Nurture stronger relationships between communities and services assigned to protect us. I suppose it's more than just cops, but cops be the big one. Focus on revamping community infrastructures such as rec centers and programs to give opportunities for success and to provide a positive impact on children, youth, family, and seniors. I'm always interested, especially with people that rub me on the conservative side. Where are these rec centers we're going to build and revamp? Are we looking at like the Village Square Leisure Center? Because that's a facility that probably needs a whole bunch of work. I don't know. I haven't been in it for a very long time. But a lot of the time when they start talking about the community infrastructure, they're talking about in their neighborhoods. They're not talking about in the Northeast or in Forest Lawn or Dover. Enhance economic opportunity. If elected, I promise to make homework illegal. Okay, sorry. Leverage the old and embrace the new when it comes to technologies in the financial, agricultural, healthcare, and clean energy industries. Yeah, I got nothing against that. Enlist the help of business leaders and academia to create sustainable paths forward. Again, depending on what academia, because Fraser Institute can suck my balls. Examine ways to alleviate taxation on business and Calgarians. Again, I don't think alleviating taxes is the thing we should be striving for. I think we should be striving for encouraging opportunity to expand, and therefore taxes will be less of a burden. Maybe I don't understand. Maybe I'm not an economist. I don't know. New energy to Calgary's vibrant downtown. Is it vibrant? Work with new and existing local groups to enhance Calgary's many varied events and make space for more celebrations and special occasions. This is good because Rick McIver was going to be running for 700 times that he ran, and one of the things he wanted to do was scrap the city's entertainment and events group, which is actually a mistake. I think that it is really important to have a downtown that has cultural events and has all these kinds of things. So seeing someone specifically call out that that's actually a good thing, I'm okay with. Build Calgary into a conference hub with invitations to the tech sector and other emerging industries. All right. We have a tech sector, right? We actually have all of these candidates seem to not be aware of the fact that we have a fairly strong tech sector. They used to refer to us as Silicon Valley North. Yeah, I'm having trouble here. Support and empower entrepreneurial culture to fill vacant office spaces. Not a whole lot of meat to this Calgary 2.0, and I'm not sold, and I got no information about Zane's beliefs. Grace Yan, a commercial real estate agent by trade, Yan wants the city to attract investment through tax breaks. Yeah. And other incentives for big and small businesses and turn vacant downtown buildings into housing as part of a broader revitalization effort. She expresses skepticism about the Green Line and bike lines while supporting increased police funding. Ooh. My oohs are skepticism about the Green Line. That's just silly. And bike lines. I think they mean bike lanes. I'm not a big fan of bike lanes, but at the same time, I don't know the data behind it. Maybe they make cycling more attractive and more safe, and therefore a good thing. I don't know. Cycling is definitely something that we need to encourage in terms of moving away from coal and oil and gas energy. Supporting increased police funding. Okay, so all cops are bad. Um, let's see. I was without hope. Grace is the absolute best candidate. Whew, wow. You and I do not agree on this one, my friend. Um, Increased police funding is exactly the wrong direction. We need to decrease police funding, dramatically decrease police funding, and we need to take that money and put it into mental health and social services. Now, I know that is a provincial thing. The province is in control of that. In fact, our city was like, yeah, we do have some issues. Maybe we would be okay. Or our cops, sorry, were like, we would be okay with taking a cut on that. And the province was like, oh hell no, you won't. So I know it's a provincial thing, and I know that's not a thing. But supporting increased police funding, we have too much. They have war toys now. This is ridiculous. We are continuously investing in a system that is not listening to the people, that is protecting the status quo and the wealthy at the expense of poor and visible minorities. Yeah. Okay. You're saying, why don't you? Oh, sarcasm's not working. Okay. Good. Whew, for a second there, I was like, is there something I'm not seeing? Calgary mayoral candidate for a whole new Calgary with more cops. New infrastructure revitalized downtown. Imagine downtown Calgary revitalized with restaurants and arts and world-class entertainment buildings filled with head offices from international companies. Well, that's not necessarily something that I would call innovation. Anyone can close their eyes and go, wouldn't a great time be if the city was stronger with business? Is there like a link? No, this is just a thing we're supposed to imagine. Okay. New support for businesses by supporting businesses with incentives, tax credits, grants. Then more businesses would thrive and create more employment. Supporting businesses with incentives, tax credits, grants. Then more businesses would thrive and create more employment. No. I am all for buying local and supporting small businesses, particularly small businesses. To a certain degree, lesser degree, medium-sized business, and fuck off big businesses. But like, just the idea that supporting businesses with incentives, tax credits, and grants creates more employment. No, it doesn't. And I can show this with a slide rule. New, effective, and efficient transportation, safe and efficient transportation system for citizens conducive to Calgary's weather and environment. Did I not read on this blurb skepticism about the Green Line? So maybe that's taken out of context. Maybe that's not a fair assessment. But again, I'm not seeing meat here. Just safe and efficient transportation system for citizens. This could mean a lot of things. I'll give you an example of safe and efficient transportation systems conducive to Calgary weather and environment. So the first one, safe and efficient transportation system, would be a transportation system that doesn't have routes to suburbs. It would be efficient and it would be safe. We could say one where there's a cop on an armed police officer on every single car. That would be safe. Maybe not so efficient, but efficiency's in the eye of the beholder. This says nothing, and if they are indeed skeptical of the Green Line, then I'm not sure. Unless their complaint is that somehow the Green Line won't be able to work with Calgary's weather and environment, but I don't see that. New arts and entertainment initiatives by supporting and promoting arts and entertainment would create employment and create positive energy in the city and surrounding area. I totally agree with this. I totally know we will never do this. The arts is a huge industry in every city, and I mean all of the arts, not just the fancy arts. Us punk rock kids, we bring money too, and a huge amount of money comes into this city, but it is not unionized, it is not organized, and we are the kicked on stepchildren of the city. We pretend like energy is the only game in town. Entertainment is huge. Promoting the arts is great. And I would love it. If this person means what they say, that's awesome. New transparency with, so must work together, not against each other. There's no I in team. There's a U in shut the fuck up. Okay. Why Grace Yan? Over 40 years living here, worked in the business sector for 20 plus years, aware of the needs of the community, the resources available, public concerns that face our city. My service to our community began 20 years ago, sitting on various boards, having achieved one of the Distinctive Women of Canada, Women of Inspiration, Inspire Award, and Mount Royal Alumni Achievement Award nominee. Okay, so you've been good at whatever it is that you do. Did I miss that part or not so far? Commitment to serve the citizens of our great city and contribute to its growth and prosperity. I'll support public safety, encourage the continued improvements of city infrastructure, support initiatives of arts and entertainment, and encourage new economic development while supporting our local businesses. I'd like to work on improving communication and transparency between the city administration. With respect, grace, and humility, I pledge to help. Okay, so again, there's fucking nothing here. And there's no platform button. There's no, it's just maybe the about page. From Manila. Family's small business in Calgary success. Inspirations in her life. That's awesome. Mother was a math teacher in the Philippines. Registered nurse at 3 different Calgary hospitals in a career spanning 40 years. Right on. I'm sorry to hear. Passing in 2015. Grace was going to be a paralegal. I don't know that helping people from all walks of life is really the description I would use for a paralegal, but so currently a director of sales and marketing at Caldwell Banker. You know what? If you're a director of sales and marketing, aren't you supposed to have a product? I'm sorry I'm being an asshole here, but your site says nothing. Your site says, we need to have good things. We should have less bad things and more good things. I will listen and transparently good the things that are good. Like, this is seriously, like, this is our crop. So, Grace is, there's nothing to go on, but this, assuming it's correct, makes me uncomfortable. Zane, nothing to grow on, but wants to work with developers to ensure that we have a good urban sprawl and that the Green Line is not expensive, which is silly. Shaoli generally just did not seem to understand the job. Very passionate, very, very hyperbolic, but not the person I'd want. Larry Heather. Sorry, that was totally fair. Jody Gondek. Again, I was thinking that I was going to wind up coming out with Jody, but no. Just very neo-lib vibe. Jeremy Farkas is the Canada Strong and Free Network. Yeah, we can forget that. James, I'm with you. Bright Sparkling Undergarments. This is the best so far. The Calgary music, which seems weird because, you know, we bitch about the fact that we have a drama teacher for a prime minister because that's all he's ever done in his life. He wasn't like the child of a prime minister or anything. And again, I'm not defending Trudeau's a joke, but being a drama teacher wasn't what made him a joke. I'm going to go back here because I'm really uncomfortable. I felt like there wasn't a lot here. You know what? That's true. There wasn't a lot here. I had to dig around and find like the LinkedIn page and stuff. And there's some, again, it's just very unclear and nothing that really blew my hair back. Emil Gabriel, this is, yeah, I'm an engineer, but I'm not in a Pega. I'm a bunch of things myself. I'm Superman, but I can't show you the cape. Teddy with the Marxist worldview. God, I'm just getting scared about this now. And then Bradfield. Bradfield was totally generic neocon. I do like cutting taxes and cutting the police budget, but there was nothing Bradfield had that I was buying. He was the first one, and I can't really remember now. I remember, oh yeah, his website wasn't found, and we had to dig around, and we eventually found. You know what? Screw that guy. This lot, Calgary's fucked. Kenny's gonna parachute in someone and bankroll. Barb Higgins is retired. Dr. No will take Kenny's job when he buys it. You know, honestly, I'm even more concerned than I was before I did this. I legitimately thought that there was going to be some people running that I was going to be like, you know what, I can get behind that. The closest I have is James, just whatever, and no disrespect, James, but there's just not a lot of meat for me to go on. You know, if we take this blurb, which I'm assuming was provided by them, the vaccine manufacturing facility, I definitely support. Abolishing the mayoral title of your worship and enhancing the tone of debate at City Hall, like, what does that even mean? You know? Yeah, God, like, if I had to vote tomorrow, he's who I would vote for, but I would vote with, like, I would be gritting my teeth. And honestly, that's not even true. I would vote for whoever I felt was the least dangerous and most potential to win. I think Jody Gondek has a strong amount of support. I don't know. Again, I haven't seen any polls. I haven't seen any information, but I've had several media drops from them, from their campaign. Very glossy and awesome looking handouts. If it came down to, I have no faith that Jody would be a good leader, but if it came down to her or Jeremy Farkas, oh, I'm voting Jody. I'm just hoping that, like, between Larry Heather and Jeremy Farkas and Emil Gabriel, they just split the Nazi vote, and we can, like, have someone who's reasonable get in, because we have a long history of crappy Ralph Klein looking people. See, it's a vote going against some other asshole. Jody is a valid choice based on that reasoning, though. Don't feel bad for making the best of a bad choices list. I don't feel bad about that, you know. Like the Biden Trump thing, I would have, if I was an American, I would have voted Biden. I'd have done it with gritted teeth because I don't think he was the right man for the job. But of the two, you know, there's really no arguing he was the right man for the job of those two. One of the things I hate about election season is it's like being on Tinder, and it's, you know, in the beginning you're like, swipe right, she seems amazing, and then swipe right, oh, you know, she's all right. Pretty soon you're like, well, I probably wouldn't be murdered by her family. Swipe. You know, like, it just feels like we're racing to the bottom, and it's because we keep focusing, and you know, James is getting the brunt of this. We focus on the importance of some kind of business tycoon role. Like, didn't Trump teach us a goddamn thing? Like, it doesn't matter if you're a good business person. What matters is your vision. Naheed Nenshi, like him or not, had a vision. He was a guy who actually did have relevant experience, but he had a vision for the city, and he executed it. And I think he did much better in his first and lesser in his second, and this is his third term, I believe. There was definitely diminishing returns, but he had a vision and he executed on it. And I feel like Zane dude had a vision. Well, I think they all have some kind of vision, but I think most of their visions are pretty run of the mill. And it really comes down to, are they neocon, or are they, Holocaust denying? Yeah, Jody is fluff. Her vision is fluffy bullshit. I totally agree. Honestly, everything I read was fluffy bullshit. I am no closer to knowing how I would vote in this election. I'm actually kind of annoyed about this. I was like, this would be a great idea. I'll read all the campaigns. I'll take the time. I mean, I've been on here for quite a long time, going through a lot of information, and legit, I don't even know what I'm looking at. So now that we're all, oh, I'll bring that chat window up. One sec. Okay. Now that we're all clearly engaged politically and ready to really just shoot the moon with all of our great political knowledge that we've gained from my incredibly helpful. Oh God. This is what we got. This might be the best we have to offer, and maybe that alone is a good reason to strongly consider other cities because I'm tired. I'm tired of the fact that Larry Heather can run for office and Farkas and that Emil dude can run. Like, they have a right to run, but they're legitimate contenders. Larry Heather could theoretically become mayor. Can you imagine? Be the first town to ban fun. Oh man. It's been fun. And by fun, I mean cleansed. Have an awesome evening, man. I'm going to couch TV sleep. You take care, bright, sparkly undergarments. It's been a pleasure. I'm glad you were able to join me here. Thank you for all your input. I'm done too. I'm probably going to go do something like, run into traffic or I don't fucking know. This was way worse than I expected it to be. Yay, democracy.